Hello, every pony. Scar89 here, and I am back with another fan fiction reading. This time around, I'm going to switch things up from what I've been doing with, Red versus Blue and stuff. And I'm going to continue the Reaper's game, because I haven't done that one for a while. So, the Reaper's game. Chapter 6. Barriers. Day 2-3. Conditions met. Wall cleared. There, the air behind the Reaper shimmered briefly. Twilight took a tentative step forward, waiting to meet resistance. Pinkamena, however, trotted through at a comfortable pace. "Come on, Twilight! You heard the mare! The wall's gone!" "Well, sorry for still not being used to all this," Twilight complained, quickening her pace to catch up with Pinkamena. "How do those walls work anyway? I'd say it was an air compression spell used to increase the air pressure so much that it's impassable. But that wouldn't explain the shimmering that it can't simply be a massive telekinesis gate because those require constant concentration to maintain and shh! Did you see that?" "See what?" "Oh, something flew over my head. I think it was your magic jargon." "Oh, I get it. Okay." Twilight grinned sheepishly. "Sorry, I get a bit carried away when it comes to magic. It's no biggie. Most of my friends have something like that. Word of advice, don't talk to Rarity about fashion unless you're really interested." "I'll keep that in mind." "It's so weird having to pretend like this," thought Twilight. "The hardest part is trying to remember what I'm not meant to know." Aloud she spoke again. "So, are all walls like this? Do we simply have to erase some noise and we can go through?" Pinkamena shook her head. "It's often up to the Reapers who put the walls up. Last game, some of them had us running back and forth bringing them food because they couldn't leave their posts." "Really? They used you as a pizza delivery service?" "On the bright side, most of them weren't that fussy about it. It's got to the point we just started carrying some small snacks with us just in case. It helped when we got hungry as well." The pair walked in silence for a while. Twilight still mulling over how the walls worked. Summoning glass? No, they wouldn't want something that can be broken easily. It can have to be something magic. Her thoughts were interrupted when Pinkamena pointed ahead. "Another wall's coming up. Might be more fighting. You up for it?" Yeah." Twilight paused, unsure of how to put her next thought. Before we clear the wall, can I have a poke around with my magic a bit? I mean, we still have plenty of time, right?" Pinkamena looked at her hoof. 72-26. "Sure, I guess we've got time. I don't know that it'll help, though. The Reapers wouldn't be using these walls if they weren't prepared to deal with ordinary unicorns." "Good thing I'm no ordinary unicorn, then," thought Twilight. Pinkamena headed towards the Reaper in charge of the wall to find out the clear conditions, while Twilight moved closer to the wall. Gently, she extended a hoof to touch it. Where it touched, the air shimmered and solidified, much like the first wall she ran into. But there was something else, barely perceivable. There was a slight tingling sensation. Not unlike a static charge. It was small, though. So small that most ponies wouldn't notice it. But to Twilight, it signified one thing. The wall was indeed magic. "Well, duh, Twilight. That much was obvious." Still, that didn't make it easier to investigate. Twilight took a cautious look around, making sure there were no Reapers watching. Satisfied that there were none, she lowered her horn towards the wall and closed her eyes. It wasn't strictly necessary for a unicorn to close her eyes while doing magic. Indeed, it was a mark of skill to be able to perform feats of magic with open eyes. Closing one's eyes, however, allowed greater focus on the magic, shutting out distractions and allowing a better visualization of the arcane energies. Twilight sent a small pulse of magic through her horn, a simple exercise learnt by young unicorns to detect magic. It worked on the same basic principles of echolocation. The pulse would bounce off and be slightly amplified by any ethereal forces nearby, and would be attracted back towards the unicorn horn, here acting as a sort of lightning rod. Wow, this person really thought this through. That's amazing. Okay, the received pulse would then provide the user with a depiction of the nearby magic. This person really thought this out, didn't they? The pattern Twilight received made no sense. They were crisscrossing lines of magic, but they seemed to be spread randomly. But magic has to have order to it. Twilight thought on this for a moment before mentally correcting herself. Unicorn magic has to have order to it. Without order, the magic would collapse on itself. There must be something I'm missing here. She didn't have a chance to mull on this further as Pink and Mina had returned. Well, convinced that it's beyond convinced that's beyond your knowledge yet? Twilight sighed. I'm not willing to give up yet, but I don't want to spend too much time on this, so what do we have to do? More noise? Not this time. This time we've got to get that mare. Pinky Mina pointed at a nearby unicorn sitting at a cafe table reading. To talk to this mare! Oh my gosh, I just accidentally... I just lost my place. Oh, okay. Let me just start over. Not this time. This time we've got to get that mare? Pinky Mina pointed at the nearby unicorn sitting at a cafe table reading. To talk to this mare! She pointed at another unicorn seated at a table opposite the first one. Or vice versa. It'll probably be easier the other way around. That's... Really? Twilight considered this. But how? They can't see or hear us. How are we meant to get them to talk to one another? We have ways. You know, the skull pins we have. They can work both ways. We can read others' minds, but we can also plant ideas in their heads. Twilight looked at the pin on her sash. These little things can do that? Do we get to keep these after the game? I'd love to study it. Time and a place, Twilight. Right now, we have a wall to get through. Oh, right. Sorry. But if we can do that, this should be easy, right? We just need to place the idea of going and talking to the mayor in her head. Not that easy, I'm afraid. We can only plant one word, and it's up to them to decide how to interpret it. For example, while one pony might react to the word cold by putting on a sweater, another might think she's coming down with a cold. That's inconvenient, said Twilight. So what are we meant to do? I don't think any one word would be enough to make them talk to each other. It's just a matter of finding the right word. So first we need to know what they're thinking. Pinkamena tapped her skull pin to start their mind reading. Twilight followed suit, focusing first on the unicorn reading the book. Sigh, this is the 5th day we've both been here. Why can't I just work up the courage to talk to her instead of hiding behind this book? She probably hasn't even noticed me. Twilight withdrew from the mental contact. The idea of using a book for something other than reading was abnormal to her. She also couldn't understand why it was so difficult to just talk to someone. She focused on the other unicorn next, not sure what to expect. There she is, sitting there reading as always. I should just go talk to her. Even just introduce myself. But she's reading. What if she's one of those mares who hates being interrupted while they're reading? That's not the right hoof to start a relationship on. Twilight deactivated her pen, shaking her head. Both these ponies wanted to talk to each other. So what was the problem? Why didn't neither talk to the other? Well, that didn't help at all. Au contraire, it helped hugely. We know now they both like each other and want to talk. How do we know they like each other? Twilight asked. They've never even met. They're missing a quotation mark right there where it says they've never even met. Just pointing that out. Pinkamena looked at her with a pitying look. Twilight, you really need to get out more. Twilight was sure she'd missed something. What? What do you mean? What? You'll find out when you're older, Pinky replied, stifling a giggle. For a moment, she almost sounded like her usual self. Anyway, I think I know how we can make this work. First, we need to get the one with the book to look up. Would the word up work then? Or would that be too vague? I have a better idea. Try the word look. Twilight was surprised. Me? You want me to plant the word? Sure, you're the unicorn. Surely this sort of stuff should be easier for you. It's just like mind reading, but instead, you're imagining them saying the word. Nervously, Twilight activated her pin again. She focused on the book, reading Unicorn once again. Maybe I should give up. I mean, she probably hasn't even noticed me, and it's not like there's any way I can find out. Seeing her chance, Twilight thought the single word, look. A puzzled expression passed over the unicorn's face for a moment. Look. Maybe I can find out if she's noticed me. Maybe if I just take a quick look and see if she's looking at me. She lowered the book to take a quick glance. The other unicorn flushed and quickly turned her gaze elsewhere. Pinkamena smirked. Good, we're halfway there then. Right, now we check on our other friend. Actually, since you seem to have this pretty much under control, can I go back to examine that wall some more? Okay, just a second, let me stop. Sorry about that, my friend called me over Skype, and he's currently listening, but I muted him. So yeah, let's get back to where I was. I'll just start over from... Actually, since you seem to have this pretty much under control, can I go back and examine that wall some more? Twilight asked, innocence on her face. Really? Pinkamena looked surprised. But what is that? What is there to find? It's a wall! Yes, but I know I can figure this out. I just need a bit more time. And I think I can figure it out. Pinkamena looked doubtful. It can't hurt, can it? I'll only be just over there. And if you're sure you can do this... Fine, you can go. This shouldn't take long anyway. But once I'm done, the wall is coming down. Got it? We're not leaving it up just for you to study it. I know, and thank you. Twilight trotted over to the wall again. Once again, she lowered her head and sent a search pulse through the wall. The results she got back were no less confusing than the last time either. The ley line composing of the wall still had no rhyme or reason to them. Twilight walked beside the wall for a couple of paces, taking up a new position along it, and sent another pulse. There was still no pattern. Twilight could discern. It's like I'm not seeing the big picture here. There has to be some pattern to it. Maybe her magic was too weak to detect the whole of the spell. Contrary to basic magic, the longer a spell was, the less magic could be detected. Spells could only be detected through the pulse method because all magic had a degree of inefficiency in it, and magic that should be being focused toward an end ended up escaping, leaving the residual trail. The glow around objects being magicked and unicorn horns was just an extension of this loss of magic. More magic being lost in the form of light. Man, this person thought everything down. Shouldn't even make sense to the story, and yet he's putting it in just so we get clarification. Wow. So, was it possible that the magic used in the wall was simply so focused that next to no magic was lost? If it was, it could be almost impossible to detect the whole thing. You'd need powers on par with the princesses themselves to detect it, and while Twilight always secretly believed herself to be close to their level, the gap between alicorn magic and unicorn magic was still huge. Because friendship is witchcraft. Anyway, Twilight slumped, defeated by the wall. Then, suddenly, a bare glimmer of an idea sparked in the back of her mind. The black skull pins. They allow us to read minds, even non-unicorns, and they let us see things unseen. She considered the noise symbols she had previously seen while the pin was active. Maybe if I used the pin at the same time as I sent a pulse... Once more she tapped the pin. She could feel the now almost familiar sensation of a million voices just outside her range of hearing. The minds of the nearby ponies. Instead of focusing on any of those thoughts, she kept her attention on the wall. For a fourth time she sent a pulse through the wall. It returned a few seconds later, and Twilight almost fell over in shock. It had worked all right. She had got the whole picture. Literally. Twilight sent a longer pulse this time to give her more time to confirm what she saw. On their own, the magic ley lines made no sense. That was true. But, seen together all at once, they form a picture of a love heart with two unicorns, their horns touching in the middle. There were other ley lines coming of the main ones that composed the image, forming the barrier parts like a fine net. But they all stemmed from the main picture, a picture which itself could be traced back to one line, terminating just behind the Reaper guarding the wall. Terminating? I don't know. So you got that thing figured out yet? Twilight jumped. She whirled around to find Pinkamini behind her. How long have you been standing there? Not long. Why? Will you do something you shouldn't have? No. I mean, not unless figuring out how the wall works is something I shouldn't be doing. It probably is. Anyway, just thought you'd like some warning before your test subject vanished before your eyes. Twilight was puzzled for a second before she realized what that meant. So you got them to talk? Yep! When I left them, I think they were making plans to meet up for dinner tonight. Oh, it's nice to see friendships forming so fast, I guess. Twilight glanced towards the new friends, now chatting animatedly. I don't know. So, time to move on then? Yep! Just need to get the Reaper to clear the wall. Mr. Ed's theater is just beyond it. Twilight checked her hoof. 63 minutes. We're making good time then. I mean, it shouldn't take us that long to take out a noise, right? Well, no, but we do still have to find it. Twilight took another look at the wall. I know I've nearly asked a lot, but do you mind if I just stay here while the wall goes down? It might give me more insight as how they work. More insight? That sounds like you figured something out. What aren't you telling me, Twilight? Do we really need to have another conversation where you don't understand what I'm saying? Instead of the other way around for once. Pinkamena laughed, although it sounded forced. No, I suppose not. Okay then, I'll go tell the Reaper we're done. But no more fooling around after this. I don't want to hear, but Auntie Pinkamena, please let me stay here for 5 more minutes. It's for science. Deal. With that, Pinkamena was off again. Realizing she had little time, Twilight quickly returned her focus to the wall. Her skull pin was still active, so she prepared another spell. This time, instead of a pulse, Twilight projected a steady flow of magic through, allowing her to see the picture for as long as she held the spell. She saw a surge of magic start at the line of the terminus, spread rapidly along the main lines. As the magic passed through, the lines seemed to fade, the magic diffusing into the air. In the space of just a few seconds, the wall had completely vanished. And that is the end of Chapter 6. Ith for Science. Nice one. Sorry, that was my friend. Multi-fanfic a day. Awesome guy. Anyway, that was Chapter 6. I finally got it readited. I really want to read Chapter 7 very soon sometime. So, yeah, as I always say, I'll record another chapter, then you can listen to that, or I'll record another story, you can listen to that, or you can listen to my other stories. It's up to you. Go check out Multi-Fanfic a Day, or, Brony Fanfics. They're awesome people. They do great readings, better than I think they do better than I do. Great guys, good friends of mine. But, yeah, I'll record another chapter, you can listen to that, or another story, you can listen to that, or my past stories, you can listen to those as well. Nothing stopping you there. But until then, I guess I will see you guys later. Brony on!